Hey, I'm Grimgrindle and welcome to this video. Well, the spooky season is once again upon us, and I figured for October for book club, what better way to celebrate Halloween than to have a look at the first 5 of R.L. Stine's famous Goosebumps novels. Now, these book club reviews are going to be a bit less spoiler-free than the other ones I've done, because I figure chances are, if you're watching this video, you've probably already read R.L. Stine's Goosebumps novels, and if you haven't, you've probably already grown up past the point that you're actually the target audience. So, fair warning, I'm not going to be really restricting any of the spoilers throughout these 5 reviews. And also it should probably be noted that because October is going to be a fairly busy time for the Grim and Grin Studios, I'm actually recording all 5 of these reviews in this one sitting. I read all 5 of the novels over the course of about 1.5 days, and I really hope I don't mix up things that happen in one novel and not the other, because they're unfortunately all rather cookie cutter, and so it's really easy to confuse the plots of them. What do I mean by cookie cutter, you ask? Well, the protagonists in every single novel are a young boy and girl aged 11 and 12, who, all bar one, have recently found themselves in a new location that they're not familiar with, and have emotionally or physically or both distant parents. And all 5 of these novels end in a twist ending, which on the surface is kind of unsettling, but if you think about it for more than 5 seconds, more often than not, doesn't actually make much sense. It's very much in the style of Twilight Zone episodes or old radio horror shows, except kind of done a little bit more lazily, where it's all very much predictable and, as I said, not exactly well thought out. There are also other themes and lines and whatnot that are recycled throughout the 5 books, which I'll get into a little bit more when I get down to talking about it. And so without any further ado, let's get down to R.L. Stine's first Goosebumps novel, Issue 1, Welcome to Dead House. The first novel we're looking at, Welcome to Dead House, follows 2 characters, a young boy and a young girl who are brother and sister aged 11 to 12, and have recently moved into a new house, which is actually an old house in a quiet neighborhood that is rather unsettlingly always seemingly cloaked in shadows. The house, as you might well guess from the title, is the Dead House, which I expected to be a house in which people have died and so therefore is haunted, which is, I guess, kind of correct, but in actual fact it turns out that the entire town is dead, spoiler alert, and they've been luring people into the house in order to die, which they need to do in order to prolong their ghostliness, for some reason that is never really addressed. And so the family which we follow has been lured to the house in order to die, in order to prolong the ghostliness of the entirety of the town. It really doesn't make a great deal of sense if you think too much about it, so you really shouldn't. And as far as the cookie cutter prediction of the parents being emotionally distant goes, they are in this novel exactly that. They get randomly quite angry for no reason, and really don't seem to take the children too seriously. Now, I'm as far as I'm aware not a parent, but as far as human decency goes, if your 11-year-old child claims she saw someone or something in her room, and she's clearly on edge, even if you don't believe her, you should check it out just to humor her and put her at ease. In this novel, however, they don't do that, but instead just yell at their children for being attention seekers. I really found the parents in this novel, as well as all of R.L. Stine's novels that I read for these reviews, to be extremely unlikable, and I'm not really sure why he decided to go down that route. But whatever, let's move on. As the story goes on, it slowly becomes more apparent that the kids in the town are dead and ghosts, and then shock horror, it turns out that the entire town is. They, as in the town of ghosts, then abduct and attempt to kill the protagonist's parents in this ritualistic murder found in an amphitheater or a graveyard, in an attempt to, as I indicated several times, prolong their ghostliness. This is where the story really started to annoy me. You see, it's found out that light is capable of killing the ghosts, but the protagonists don't use the light until it's far too late and they can't actually use it because their torch gets broken, which explains why they don't use it from that point on, but why they didn't use it from point of discovery to point of it being broken is never addressed and never explained. I figured we're supposed to suppose that the reason they didn't actually start using the light after immediately discovering its power is because the main characters are stupid children, which is a really interesting decision to make when your main protagonists are the age group that's carefully molded to actually be the readers of the novel, and so you're therefore essentially just insulting the intelligence of your fan base. But whatever, let's move on. So the entire town of ghosts is eventually finally exposed to light, they all die, the family gets off scot-free, but then suddenly, twist ending, it turns out they're actually dead already. which was, for an extremely brief moment, mildly unsettling until you think about it for more than 2 moments. You see, it doesn't really make a great deal of sense, because I have no idea when we're supposed to believe the family was actually killed. And if indeed the characters can be so easily murdered and turned into ghosts, then what was the point of the whole ritualistic killing thing that was going on with their parents in the amphitheater and the cemetery? It doesn't really make much sense. I suppose we're not supposed to analyze it, but I can't help but do it. And that brings us to an end to Welcome to Dead House. Now, I know I sound like I'm probably critiquing it pretty heavily, which I suppose I sort of am, but this critique does in no way actually mean that I dislike it as a whole. You see, it was, as I said, sharing many traits with old radio horror shows, which themselves often had twist endings that really didn't make much sense and were only there to unsettle you and not be thought about for much longer. As a piece of groundbreaking literature, this is not, but as a piece of fun entertainment that you're not supposed to think about too much, it does its job. And also it has lots of ghosts appearing and being spooky and disappearing and making things move and making scary noises, which I enjoyed thoroughly because ghosts are probably my favourite kind of horror creature. So it is what it is, and if you want some extremely light reading that you don't have to think about too much, and you really shouldn't, then Welcome to Dead House is not an overly terrible choice. So with all of that said and done, thanks for watching, and until next time I have been and still am Grim Grindle. We will be having a look at all 5 of these novels, so if you want to see more of that, stay tuned, or if you want to see more Halloween stuff right now, then click any of the links on the screen right now.